Hi, Tanya. This is Longevity Dal. Just want to test my mic to make sure it's working.
Oh, I'm so excited I can hear you. And we're live streaming, and the stream is really strong right now. I've been having issues with Twitter.
Yeah, no,
If every-
me too. I think you were listening to our kind of rebroadcast before of the previous AMA, and you let us know we dropped off. So I think Twitter Spaces is in some ways still kind of a work in progress, but we appreciate everyone for putting up with it.
Yeah, again, this is, social audio. So uh, as a live streamer, we've been streaming for, oh my God, for 12 years now, 12 plus years. So it's interesting how much technology has grown, but also interesting how much we want technology to go faster, because we're so used to now, and perfection.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's a sign of like a technology that has really met, product market fit is even in its like starting imperfect form, people love it. Like the first iPhone was not that great, but people still came to it. So it just shows how important social media will be and how ahead of the curve you've been, Tanya, in, understanding social media even 10 years plus ago.
Well, I was kind of obsessive over it, but yeah. So and again, I'm so excited we are getting together and chat more about your project. I literally have been sharing your content to all my friends and followers, and I have a pretty vast longevity friends, and especially in the cryonics. This is something that I'm very passionate about. So today I got Brent on. I'm asking Brent to be my co-host. I'm waiting for my main co-host Carlos. He's had some eye surgery, so I'm not sure if he's had because the weather's been really bad for all of us down here in South Florida. And I don't know if he's having a hard time with the weather because he just had eye surgery. So we're just going to go ahead and start because we want to finish by 8 p.m. sharp. And everything, again, full disclosure, this is recorded and is also streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and also our Twitter account, which is Social Chats SF. And we're planning to write a blog about it. And that's why I'd love to know more about your main project, but also your upcoming projects. And before we start, let me want to say welcome to everyone and want to say hi to Longevity Plus Tomorrow. Hello. And also F. Okay. Hi. How's it going? Thank you for being here. And Brent, thank you for being my co-host today.
You, my pleasure, Tanya. As this longevity is also something new that I'm starting to learn about because of the Church of Perpetual Life in Pompano Beach, Florida.
Yes, Brent has been attending our monthly Zoom service. Zoom, and then we've had two hybrid events, but we're gonna go back into be doing Zoom until after October at the Church of Perpetual Life, and that's another like uh, I want to introduce you to the people there too. So before we start, let's go ahead and introduce our guest today, Longevity Dow, and who I have been following and I've heard a lot about from my good friend Adam Stewart, who is colorblind Adam, colorblind underscore Adam. That's what. Yeah. So before we start, can you tell us about yourself and how long have you been in crypto and what made you decide to get into longevity?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. First, great to meet you, Brent, and have you be the co-host of the show. So yeah, I guess my background is I've been into longevity ever since I was a kid many decades ago. It's kind of like a pretty common story. You find out when you're 5 years old that everyone's supposed to die around 100 plus or minus, or maybe 80 plus or minus, and then kind of get sad for a while and you're like, oh, I guess this is just a fact of life. But then as you grow older, as you learn science and go through school, you kind of start thinking, are there any real fundamental laws of physics that make this the case? And then if all of us here are probably somewhat independent thinking, and we realize no, there's actually no real laws of thermodynamics stopping it. So maybe there are some ways we can go ahead and try to push the boundaries of that. So the starting interest came a long time ago, but I only got the chance to really pursue it in the last couple of years or so. Previously, I've been doing a startup in another space and had exited that startup, and then I was thinking about what to do for my next thing, and I'm genuinely super interested in longevity, so explored Sens, made some donations there. helped out Lifespan.io and a bunch of these other organizations in various ways. Obviously, I've been buying supplements from Life Extension for a while, and then that was kind of when I started the pivot into doing Longevity DAO. Now for crypto, I've been doing a couple of things in it for the last 2-3 years, and I realized after doing a couple of things there that crypto is just a great way to raise a lot of funding. You can release either tokens, NFTs, any of this cool stuff, and then suddenly you get a bunch of funding in. And then on the other hand, for longevity, it really needs this funding, for research and so forth. If you look at the NIH amount and so forth, it's woefully small. It's in the billions of dollars. If you look at the actual, NIH funding for real longevity, non-Alzheimer's research. And then suddenly you have these tokens that are, worth trillions of dollars or $1 trillion. And I thought, it'd be a good way to kind of combine the great fundraising mechanisms of crypto with the longevity field that really needs it. So that's kind of what gave rise to Longevity DAO.
I am so excited you said that, because I've been talking. Like I said, I've been obsessed with NFT and crypto. I got a glimpse of crypto back in 2011 when I was live streaming. We're talking about this new thing, Bitcoin, that was coming out, and I started following it, and we reported it and wasn't really into it because it's at the time it's just, I think it was like $10 or something like that, and it just took up too much space for me, so I didn't really get into it. But fast forward last year, when we're all in the lockdown and everything, so we weren't doing much. I was really sitting around, got into social audio, sat there and listened to a whole bunch of NFT spaces and on Twitter spaces back in February, like late February, and just met so many different people and started getting involved in like just promoting them and stuff. And then and I kept going back because, again, my background, as a lot of my followers and friends know, have a big obsession about longevity. And so I have been talking about NFT and longevity. And then when I met Adam back in November, mistakenly, actually, he didn't realize I knew the doctors he was donating his project to. And he was telling me about his project. So I ended up writing a story and we became good friends. And then he started telling me about your project. And I was like, oh my God, you have to hook me up with them. I got to find them. So, sometimes you don't really pay attention to the universe a little bit. I find like sometimes if things are meant for you to find, that's how it came across you one day. Because tomorrow Bios, oh my God, Bios Aces. I just kept pronouncing his company name right there. He's gonna, hopefully he doesn't get too upset with me. But I was like, got an email and they mentioned your project, and I was like, oh, let me go look them up. And that's how I reached out to you, actually. I was like, oh, let me find out if they would do this. And you were like, yeah. And then we had so much in common, and you were like speaking geek word, like longevity geek with me. I don't know about you, but like everything you were saying to me, I was like, oh my God, I know about that. I'm all about that too.
Right. I think you kind of come on the same path to get into longevity, right? Like you start looking at the supplements, which is an important part of the puzzle. There are all these different ways to kind of live longer, which is also an important part of the puzzle, and kind of how that all comes together. So I'm really glad that we connected, and actually I'm really glad to know that you kind of found out about this through Tomorrow Bio's email, because that's kind of the general strategy that we're hoping to build up in the longer run. Is we just altruistically help these longevity companies because we by ourselves want to, and then we suddenly get more and more exposure in the longevity space, and we get a snowball effect rolling where we're more trusted sources for, okay, these people are legit in the crypto longevity intersection. So anytime we are able to support a project, it also gives a vote of confidence for people who are watching that, this is a legit kind of crypto project to go into. Now, it's so interesting that you say that your interest in NFTs kind of came in last February. I think mine came a little bit later in July or August. I'm not sure. I mean, NFTs have, in theory, been out for years, and I think I saw it the first time many years ago. But like you with Bitcoin, at the first glance, I didn't quite take it seriously. Was there like a catalyst or something that kind of made you believe that, oh, this is going to be one of these things that's really cool?
But for me, it was just sitting in the spaces. I was looking at a platform to bring my shows to, and I was doing a lot of a lot of show about AI, and you got to realize I've been in like longevity really in 2004, you know, when they told me that I could never walk or run the way, because I got in a car accident. It was really bad. So I just started researching, and I ended up working at a compounding pharmacy. And then from there, you know, I met Bill Falloon, and I met Bill, like, not because of the supplement company or anything. I didn't know anything about it, actually. I was working for a compounding pharmacy, and then we just hung out in the same area, and then and it just like one thing led to another. I met him, but I didn't really know much. But at the time, I was trying to get a job at Life Extension, because I, you know, again, I launch companies. I help launch companies. So just so he was just like, you know, he's one day we met, we're talking, he goes, yeah, I'm into Life Extension. And I started reading, telling him all about Life Extension and their background, because I research everybody before I even say anything. And I said, oh yeah, some guy named William Falloon. And he's like, well, that's me. I'm like, oh, William Bill. Oh, okay. So that's how I got into it back. And then from 2004 on to this, and I got, you know, and then started my communication company, and I got into social media. But then, you know, what happened? You know, social media for me was from 2006 all the way down to 2020. After that, I was like, what is there to do after this? And, you know, like, I've done it all. I've tried it all, these platforms. And then I started looking into social audio, and then I sat down and listened, and then I met Lucas Bean, actually. Lucas Bean online. We started following each other, and I did a space with him, and he's explained to me how it works and how everything is, and how each chain works, and based on the smart contract. And I started getting into it. Then I got into music NFTs and started learning about the smart contracts some more, and you know, made my own mistakes in certain things that I did also. But overall, and then I kept on saying, why can't we fund so many different projects, longevity projects, with NFTs? I don't quite understand that. And then you know, Abby DeGray did some stuff on with NFT, and he had a huge donation. So, and then it's now in coming back in full fruition. I meet you, and it's kind of like you're the last component that I needed to be able to prove to all the longevity researchers that I'm very much friends with and involved with. So it kind of like goes hand in hand. Like when I met you, I was like, Eureka.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I know you're kind of a big enthusiast of the NFTs for a cause thing. And when I was actually joking with my co-founders about this, and it's like, oh yeah, she's like doing NFTs for a cause. And it's like, no way. Like we were thinking of a slogan like, you know, cryptos for a cause as well. And so it's kind of amazing how we kind of intersected that way.
Oh yeah, yes, and I look forward. I'm so excited about any like your upcoming project. I'm looking forward to like introducing you to some different projects with different people too. I've been sharing a lot of your content. I shared the two audio out to my friends and followers, and also especially Bill, to let you know, let him know, because again, everything I've been saying it's been since February last year I'm talking about, and I really amped up to it more like in June of last year, getting people excited about raising money about it. But then, you know, and then my big project I've been working on was that the Church of Perpetual Life is the first transhumanist brick and mortar church in Pompano, and that's a brand new church, and it sits on a 2.5 acres of land. It has a school, and we want to teach technology and health. So I'm like bringing the people together to teach. We want to create a curriculum to talk about crypto and NFTs, but I would like to make the church into a metaverse, you know, so that then this way I can host events on there without. And then I think Decentraland, they give grants to nonprofits. So our church is a 501(c)(3). So and we just provide fellowship for longevity enthusiasts.
Yeah, no, I think that church is a great idea. I think, you know, getting more interest in it, adding some spiritual components is super helpful. And I guess to answer the second part of the question, you were asking a little bit about, you know, getting into the background of Longevity DAO and how I personally got started, and also the current project they're working on. So first, I super appreciate you re-forwarding the Twitter Spaces recording we have to Bill Falloon and friends. Interesting story. I've actually known about Bill Falloon for many, many years, because I take a lot of the supplements he recommends. He has all these great articles, and I think he's really unique in being courageous in kind of supporting the sort of supplements he thinks will work. Both the you know, dietary supplements and things that could be, you know, traditionally defined as pharmaceuticals like metformin and so forth. A lot of articles or a lot of sites will just, you know, veer totally in the safe side decide, oh, like we're allowed to talk about resveratrol or NMN or something. But, Bill Falloon is not afraid to talk about rapamycin, metformin, and all these things that are actually super helpful and great additions to the normal dietary supplements. So anyway, a huge fan of that side. But going back to kind of the project that we're working on now. So there's that recording that we have. We actually have a better version of that. We know that this is actually one of our first time using Twitter Spaces. So Tanya's definitely ahead of us on the curve here. We're trying to get the broadcast and the recording correct. So we have a full like MP3 recording that we'll upload, and that'll be a little higher quality audio. But basically, that describes a project that we're working on right now. It's an NFT to help Tomorrow Bio. And Tomorrow Bio is a cryonics startup where their goal is to bring cryogenics to everyone in the world. Like, in essence, make it kind of a medical right, covered under, universal health care or Medicare or whatever each government system might have. Their goal is to do it that way, and then by having more people do it, they can drive down the costs, the unit costs for cryopreservation, and they could also make the cryopreservation quality a lot higher because they can amortize all the research and development for doing high quality cryopreservation over a larger number of people. So this is our flagship product right now, and some cool things about this collaboration is that Emil and I have like a lot of win-win synergy going on. So we were brainstorming a lot about how to make a great NFT. So some NFTs can just be art, right? Like, it could just be JPEGs, but we wanted this to be a set that had a community as well. So all the NFTs come with a community aspect, a right to an annual AMA, both in person and virtual. And then some of the rarer ones have, private dinners with top people in the cryonics space. Could be kind of like this cryonics conference that's going on in Arizona that Emil called in from. So it could be something like that. And then one of the NFTs actually has free cryopreservation included. So that would be kind of just a fun bonus. It's kind of like, an interesting thing to do. But the main thing is kind of building that community there. So that's kind of our flagship product right now, and the one that we're most focused on and want to get the word out most about. There are quite a few that are also in queue right now as well. One of them is actually with one of the top, if not the top, but at least one of the top 3 longevity general awareness organizations in the United States, and he wants to do a ton of cool things with some metaverses, some characters that have like the ability to fight the monster of aging and so forth. And I'll leave it at that, but it can be more specific later on as he desires to be more public about it. And obviously, Tanya and I have been spitballing about using potentially NFTs to help the Church of Longevity and things like that as well. So there's a bunch of stuff kind of coming down the line, but this top set of NFTs, our flagship product right now is the Tomorrow Bio NFTs, which we're super excited about.
So can you walk me through that a little bit more? Because, I know the whole process of, I know, but just this part of what I've been researching is, I literally have been involved in cryonics since 2006. So, because I was going to get life insurance to cover mine and my hubby's cryopreserve, and we've been researching, trying to decide where we're going to go and stuff. But then, we've been looking at NFTs and crypto and all the different things. And I always said, why couldn't we fund it this way? So explain to us, how does your project work? So like, how much is the floor price? How does that work? And can you go a little bit more detail on that?
Yeah, for sure. So currently, well, first, like, to give a little bit background of the setup, the actual NFT issuances and all the underwriting of the community and the cryopreservation obviously is done by Tomorrow Bio NFT. Tomorrow Bio themselves. We see ourselves as a press partner and the technology partner, kind of help support them do the issuances. So everything that we're saying here is kind of our best understanding at the current moment of what Tomorrow Bio would like to do. That said, the current plan is for each NFT to be minted for about 0.1 ETH. So the idea is that it's kind of like Bored Ape Yacht Club or CryptoPunks. You go to our website, longevitydao.com and / Tomorrow Biostasis. You can also Google that. And then on the day it drops, which will probably be, some, weeks in the future, you can hit the mint button and then you can get one NFT or two NFT or however many you want. All the fun, each NFT costs 0.1 ETH. So which is around maybe $200-ish right now. In the past, it was maybe 300. It went to a low of 160. Anyway, like you put that in, and that money goes directly to Tomorrow Bio, and they'll use that money to, as Emil was just saying on our AMA on Discord, all to research and development. So they're not going to paying executives or things like that. Half of it, at least half, is going to pure research, which is figuring out new techniques to how do you cannulate a person so that the preservation is higher quality and you make the ice crystal formation less. And then, half of it's to development, which is setting up the fixed costs of marketing this and things like that so that the company can reach out to more people. So anyway, I guess to go back to the smart contract setup, the funds all go to them, to the company, and the company can use that to do fundamental research that's a public good that pushes the world forward in the research space. But more than traditional donations, right? Normally, if you really care about this, you donate this much to MIT or you donate it to SENS or something, and they do research, and then you get a nice little receipt. But here you get more than a receipt. You get kind of this NFT. The NFT is actually, pretty artistic cartoon characters of, these cool looking people who are being cryopreserved. It's done by a set of artists in Brazil right now that I've been closely working with. So you kind of get this, which is kind of standard for NFTs, right? You get a JPEG that kind of, gives you the right over that picture, and you can kind of use it as your profile picture on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and so forth to kind of, tell other people that you supported the Tomorrow Bio project. But more than that, you also get some rights to participate in the community in the future, and they are giving away a free cryopreservation. So that's more or less the financial setup of the entire channel, is that you mint it and it goes to them, and it's actually very additive as well, because when you mint the NFTs and you give the money to Tomorrow Bio, it's not dilutive to them. So they have investors, as you heard Emil say. They have investors, but the investors get an extra kicker. Now that they know, they're going to raise however many, hundreds of thousands or whatever dollars using this method, more investors will come in. So every, $200 that you give Tomorrow Bio using this method, they can probably get $2,000 more dollars. I'm just guessing here from an economic first principles from investors, because they know that their returns are going to be increased by just that much. So anyway, I hope that that answers a little bit of the question of how the mechanism works and where the money goes to and how the funding works.
Well, yeah, that's the whole idea of cryonics, because you got the goal is to find out why, the most important thing is why we age. Aging is a disease. Once we accept that and learn more about it, because if we spend more money on funding on aging, longevity, why people age, what caused them to age, what caused them to die. And then with that, cryonics comes along where researchers spend there's a lot of money in research and development to figure out why the certain thing. And one of the stories I've always think that because of cryonics, so many new technology has came about. One of them is we call it the cryo ambulance, but it's really it's a story that I actually pitched to my local paper about what cryonics is about. It's imagine if every hospital in America was able to get this technology, this technology, meaning this cryo ambulance, right? Just imagine, and you got in a car accident or got shot or whatever, you got in a car accident, and by the time they get you to the hospital, you won't make it. But imagine you had a cryo ambulance that goes and picks you up, gets you, there's a team of doctors and nurses, they bring your body temperature down, and then operate on you, and then you go to the hospital and they put you, you are already put in intensive care. So that in itself has saved so many people's lives. And that technology actually is being used at University of Pennsylvania and University of Maryland, actually, is one of the people that are using, the technology that of all these years cryogenics has been providing, because they collect a lot of data. And so I spent a lot of years, last 12 years, I've interviewed so many different people from as far as, what they do, as far as when they work at a facility to take care of them. So, but the most important thing that I want people to understand more about this is kind of like, because there's this wonderful gentleman, his name is Max Moore. He is he's the man when you think about transhumanism and you think about cryogenics and everything. I just remember how he told me that, when we deanimated, our goals get reanimated, right? But we got to figure out why that person is that. So I get excited about hearing about all this stuff because because of the research that's been accumulated over all these years. I mean, Alcor is celebrating 50 years of cryopreserving. I mean, they are an incredible organization, but all that content, all that technology and data they have collected over the years from all the people who have been cryopreserved in their facility is so important. So I'm excited. I can continue talking about this all day long. Let me say hi to my co-host. I'm so excited. Can you tell? My co-host Carlos. Hey Carlos, how are you?
Hi, Tonya. I'm so sorry to be so late, but the connection was so terrible today. I was about lose all my hope, and in the last minute, I finally I was able to connect. I'm so happy to be here for at least for the second hour. Hi, Brent. Glad to see you, Mr. Longevity. I'm so sorry, everybody here. Thank you for being here, and just update me.
No, we're just talking about cryogenics and some of the things that, when people think about, oh, someone's going to freeze the body when they pass away, and like, why would they do that? And whether it's a research, but there's this thing called
like Walt Disney, they all.
Is that a rumor for real?
Like Satoshi Nakamoto, Hal Finney, right? There's so many of these famous people who believe in this, and it's like it works. Like I think So again, thanks for coming, Carlos. And no worries. We were actually commiserating at the beginning about our Twitter Spaces woes. We just tried to do something a few hours ago, and it cut in and out as well. So. I think Tanya, Tanya was just talking about maybe having an ambulance that if you are in a fatal trajectory, they cryopreserve you immediately. And I think that's like brilliant, right? Because like minutes matter for cells. Like if you've been lying there for a couple of hours, then that's more damage. I mean, it's cryopreservation and future technology still has a good shot, but you want to kind of minimize that. And yeah, so I think that would be great. Maybe in hospitals, like each hospital could have a cryopreservation specific ward where, if you look like you're not doing so hot, they kind of transfer you there so that, if you're going to be terminal in a few hours anyway, that they do the process in a way that minimizes that transition time. And this goes back to what Neil says about making this kind of the standard for humanity. The more of a standard it is, the better quality it will be. If it's just Alcor has done great work, and we were talking about numbers, and only 400 people or something who's actually been cryopreserved at this point. If it's just 400 people, a dozen people each year, then fewer hospitals will have this facility and things like that. So you'd have more problems getting quality cryopreservation, but pushing that number up automatically brings cost down and quality up. And there's also the question you mentioned, Tanya, about like how does cryopreservation play into longevity? And like the standard easy, like first order answer is like, okay, well, if you are about to die of a pretty acute cause that we don't have a cure for right now, like if you're stage 4 colon cancer, probably, we're not at the medical forefront today to be able to cure that and give you longevity. But if you're cryopreserved in 150 years, colon cancer could be cured and you could be revived. So and that's like the standard answer. But I think it actually empowers longevity way more indirectly too. Like, for example, if someone is like has some a decent amount of endowment lying around, and then he has or she has colon cancer at stage 4, you'll get cryopreserved, and then the amount in her estate could go to researching colon cancer, researching other longevity things, so that the estate can pay off the year 150 years later when you're reanimated, to go towards that. So I think it'll actually redirect more funding towards towards the longevity effort, because people who are cryopreserved would have this immediate incentive to kind of donate more of their cash in their estate to the longevity effort. So I think it makes the incentives correct. And some people might say, okay, well then you're not donating it to other nonprofits and so forth. But I don't think it's a zero-sum game. Like if someone who is 70 today, or let's just say not 70 is not necessarily even old, but 90 today or 80 today may not have a strong motivation to work if they're somewhat wealthy, because they'll be like, okay, well, the end is in sight. But if there is this cryopreservation and shot at being revived, you'd have more incentive to work and still create value, so that you can kind of use it later on. So I think there's some very positive some aspects for society and for economy, when we put cryopreservation in the picture, because people will care more about the future fundamentally, due to their ability to live in that with the technology of cryopreservation.
But also, I would like to give another point of view of because of cryopreservation and the technology and data came out of it. If you guys have ever heard about, you guys know Celine Dion, right? Celine Dion is an incredible singer from Las Vegas. I mean, she's incredible. Her children are they're called snowflake babies. They were born. They were store. They were frozen, but I think she had one child, 20 years. And then 20 years later, she had another child, but they're like actually the same age, because the eggs were the same. The eggs, she froze her eggs. She cryopreserved her eggs at a cryobank. So I think that's where the technology and as far as if you think about that, she had. And she loved her husband too, by the way. She loved her husband. The fact that she was able, before he passed away, she was able to have 2 children with him, and 20 years different. I think 20 or 25-year difference. I have to look that up. But I know her children they're considered they call them snowflake babies.
Yeah, that's a really interesting tidbit. Like I think this goes into the idea that people are challenging, can humans be frozen or unfrozen? But embryos, it's already happened to embryos, right? It's they just need to scale it up to more and larger masses of cells in a way that doesn't cause ice recrystallization in a very damaging way. But yeah, Tanya's right. It's already been done to humans to some extent. They just need to scale it up to larger humans in that way.
People are storing organs this way too, by the way. Organs, like I think a lot of it is the kidney. The kidneys is a big.
Tonya, can I just say, Tonya, your microphone is really bad. Just saying.
Thank you for saying that. I know. I actually do. It's a whole story. I can't do anything about it. These
Okay.
chickens are bad.
Okay.
No.
I don't mean to be rude.
Oh no, don't worry. This has been a story with me and Twitter, actually. But no, I appreciate you for telling me that. Actually, I thought it was fixed. And I actually have it setting and everything, but it is still not fixed yet. So, but it is what it is. So I'm going to continue on. I appreciate you for being here.
And also, I've joined this space with somebody that personally has embryos frozen, like over 6 years, 32 embryos, which is mad, but that's what IVF does to you. It kind of like traps you in this kind of world of being successful or not. But yeah, so I understand that whole point about frozen, unfrozen, the ability to bring back life to an embryo is pretty fucking amazing. But unfortunately, it didn't work. But I understand. I just jumped into that conversation, so I apologize.
No worries, no worries, no worries. And also, there's so much more technology I could talk to you guys more about. It's just something that when it comes to this, I'm like super geek about this. So when Longevity Down and I chat offline, we've just been like, I was like, oh my gosh, you're like in the same thing as I am. Like we compare, like, what are you taking? I'd be telling what I'm taking. He's like, well, I'm taking that too, but I'm taking this. So it's kind of like something. It's a community that we built together. And when you meet people that want to live longer and want to be healthy and want to have productive life, it's kind of strange, but there's not too many of us. I think a lot of people are just kind of like used to saying, okay, I'm dealt with this card. I really don't want to, change anything because it's the way it is. But there's some people out there that say, hey, I was born with this defect, and now with CRISPR, I can like get myself again, I can be able to fix it, or they can rewrite my genetic code. I mean, there's so much things we can talk about and so different projects. So Longevity DAO, I know you have another upcoming project that you're featuring. Can you mention them? Because I actually know them.
Oh yeah, sure. So the second one that we have, I think like the founder hasn't wanted me to go on the record with the name yet, but they are one of the big, organizations that's kind of helping, a lot of advocacy. So they do a ton of wonderful stuff, including making YouTube videos, doing a little bit of awareness in U.S. Congress, and I believe a little bit in other nations as well. And like bringing awareness to the problem of longevity. And I think they have some great plans for the metaverse and so forth. And I don't think these sorts of NFTs need to be an exclusive thing to one organization. It doesn't need to be organization X or just Church of Longevity and so forth. The great thing of this being in the blockchain, especially with bridges and so forth, but mostly probably a lot of these NFTs are on the Ethereum blockchain, is that they can all interact with each other, right? There's first Bored Apes, and now there's Other Deed by Other Side. So these Bored Apes suddenly get land to live on. Likewise, the cryopreserved, NFTs that we're going to have with Tomorrow Bio could one day they could get revived and go to the Church of Longevity with Tonya and so forth. I think they're cool interactions as well. But anyway, we have multiple exciting projects, and I think this sort of interaction is actually like the cool thing about the blockchain to begin with, is that first you have these Bored Apes, and I mean I don't want to specifically talk about valuation for our set of NFTs, because we have some guidance on how we can talk about prices and so forth for NFTs that we're specifically helping with. But for Bored Apes, right, like a lot of the value derives from the future interaction that they have. At first, they were maybe JPEGs, but then their founders kept on at it. They kept on, doing things, hosting actual yacht events, and then helping other NFT projects develop. And this is a sort of thing that we hope to recapitulate in our sets of NFTs as well, is that we want the different NFT universes, if you so will, to interact with each other. One person can, like one character can go to church, the church could sell off some land or something like that, and then like it's a win-win situation where people get cross-exposed to the different aspects of helping different aspects of longevity, and then all these projects help each other in that way. So that's also something that I'm pretty excited about.
But that's why I want to create, because I used to work for the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, so I did their exhibit sales back in 2004. So, and I always think about, like, if I was to be able to run a conference but do it in the metaverse, having the same swag bags, having the same thing that you would get in real life, but do it in the metaverse, and bringing all these different longevity influencers and especially the researchers and different people together, and have a real conference. I just think I'm excited about that, because a lot of people nowadays, they want to travel, but they don't quite get to travel. But if they were wanting to do a hybrid conference with that in mind, that's where I'm excited about. That's what I want to do, is to host a longevity conference. Carlos, go ahead. The mic is yours.
Okay.
Did you want to ask a question?
Yes. Sorry, my mic was off. I want to ask a question. But first, I want to share an anecdote because I am 61 years old actually. But 1 month ago, when I was just 7 years old, I got an autograph here in Caracas from Dr. Christian Barnard, the South African doctor who made the first heart transplant on the world. And my father took me to a place. There was a special act in the medicine, something academy or something of Caracas, and I was able to get. I have a small autograph book, and I have many signatures. I was very, I did love that very early. And but I bring that just not only because of the anniversary of having this very old autograph for this person who did this, but my question is related with the freezing of the body and the heart. Talking about the heart in this case, not the transplant. How do you handle the actual problem, because the heart is just like the engine of the body, okay? And you can get down and freeze. How is the actual relationship between? I mean, how do you actually resuscitate a person after several X time after? You know the question. I mean, how do you get the people back regarding the heart, the actual heart, to get it back? Did you use like the electroshock, like in Doctor House, just like a putting the electrical thing on the chest? Is something more chemical, just like more? Is a different kind of process? How does that
Yeah,
work?
no, yeah, that's a great question. I think, Dr. Emil Kanjora probably has like the final answer for it, but I actually done enough, a little bit of background research that I can give a guess at it. And then I'm sure Emil will correct me one way or the other. First of all, super impressive that, you've been impressive, into medicine and longevity since you were 7 years old and getting the autographs from those famous doctors. I guess for all of us, we have this commonality, Tonya, me, that it's something that when you're young you already start getting into, and then you reach a part of your life when you're suddenly able to help the vision come true. But the I think there's a few things that are being touched on here that I think is kind of cool. So one is if you stop a heart, and you need to do that in order to cryopreserve the body, how do you restart it again? I think one model for this, that immediately pops to my mind is that in live human surgeries today, there's this thing called, I believe, ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. Basically, if, let's say, I need to do surgery where I'm doing cardiac bypass, right, or doing some deep heart surgery, you can't do that surgery while the heart is beating. So what you do is there's a very sophisticated set of procedures where you actually put your blood flow into what is called a heart lung machine. It's a machine that literally oxygenates the blood and also pumps it as well. So there's a set of incisions you make. You connect the aorta to one part of the machine, and then the inferior vena cava to another part, and then you get everything correct so that blood is still flowing to the rest of the body. And at a certain point, you can stop the heart. I'm not totally sure the exact procedure they use to stop the heart, but they have a way of doing it. I imagine maybe it's potassium chloride or something, maybe one of these things that just cause the action potential to stop. And probably for starting the heart up, it's like the things that shock the heart that you see in the movies, you remove the potassium chloride, you get it into a state where it can beat again if it had the right impulse, and then you put in that impulse and they reverse it. So I think my best guess is just looking through that procedure provides a really good template for how you can do it for cryonics. And now the second question I think is really interesting too, is your heart has been stopped for a very long period of time, right? Like ECMO machines, they use these for just an hour or two or maybe 4 hours for cool surgeries. Cool in the temperature sense. I mean, cool surgeries, and then they revive the heart. But how do you get past, 20 years, 100 years, and so forth. And this is something that Emil explained earlier today, which is really cool, which is there's this equation in physical chemistry called the Arrhenius equation. The idea is that when you reduce the temperature of anything by 10 degrees Celsius, all reactions happen 10% slower. And this is a true kind of, even in the refrigerator, right? Like a piece of beef that would go bad at 25 degrees Celsius room temperature in 2 hours. If you put it at 4 degrees Celsius, that's 20 degrees cooler. That means that you're stretching time out by 100x. So instead of the beef spoiling in 2 hours, it spoils in 200 hours, or like a week or so, which sounds about right. So the cool thing about this is it's exponential, right? So you go from 25 degrees to 15 degrees to 5 degrees. Liquid nitrogen is something, I believe, like negative 100 and something degrees. I'm going to actually look this up right now. Liquid nitrogen is, negative 200 degrees. So it's literally like a million times slower or something like that than normal time. So even though you, like in the real world, it's kind of like Interstellar, that movie where there's two different times running at different spaces. Even in the real world, it's 100 years has gone by. In terms of chemical process in the heart, it's only 1 minute of frozen time. So then you kind of get the same dynamics back. That's kind of my best guess at explaining it. I hope that maybe helps explain that a little bit.
That was a wonderful answer to my question, and I have an extra one, because it's very, very heavily related. My only son, who's 16 now, when he was born, we got the stem cells. I mean, we contracted a company, and they were during the born when he was being born, and we have been keeping. His stem cells are under, I think it's hydrogen cooling all these years, because it's otherwise, if you do it by electrical means, it's expensive. And here in Venezuela, we have a lot of blackouts, and it will be the material will be lost. And so, is there any kind of relationship with, among the way the stem cells are currently or mostly keeping frozen during the years, and these systems that you need for a whole body revival?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the stem cells are a model. Like preserving the stem cells for 20 years is a model for how to do it for like a 200-pound body for 100 years. So stem cells, right there, when they collect it from your son, maybe it was cord blood, like the umbilical cord stem cells, or one of these things, or maybe from the teeth or something. The good thing about those is that they're small clumps of cells, right? They're maybe a millimeter across, or a 1/16 of an inch across. So when you freeze them, they freeze all very fast at the same speed, and there's no ice crystals that are formed. And when you thaw them, you can thaw them relatively fast, uniformly as well, and there's no ice crystals. And I think for small chunks of cells, cryopreservation has been proven. It's not like in the future. It's already doable, and they can kind of already unfreeze those stem cells right now, and they'll be living cells that they can culture into things. I guess one thing that's also, this is maybe a little less cryonics related, but one of my favorite areas of longevity are these stem cells. So because your son saved these stem cells, and there are other ways for other adults to generate stem cells today now too, you can push these stem cells forward into other cells. So you can grow little livers from them. You can induce them to grow into little kidney-like objects or blood. And one of a really cool lab that I'm personally supporting is generating them into brain cells. So, if you have strokes or something in the future, you can actually force these stem cells to develop as if it thinks that, it's part of a brain. So it develops into neurons and so forth. And you can actually replace different body parts and slow down aging in that way. So
let me tell you something. He actually has mild autism. We discovered that when he was 1 year and a half, and we started treating him a lot since he started talking at 5, But now he learned English by himself, watching YouTube. He's a very, very hyperactive and a very, very operative boy. And it's wonderful because it's incredible. But we haven't tried yet, and we are waiting just like a little bit more to see, because her mother and myself, we have the hope that in the future maybe there is something that can be done using his stem cells straight and directly related to his autism, to his mild autism situation, because he has advanced a lot. He's learning a lot in some areas, but he's a little bit delayed in others. He has some difficult sensory problems, especially he's very sensitive, to high noise. And I know, for example, that I guess in Spain and in Japan, for example, there are the movie theaters are forced by law to have special functions where the sound of the movie theater has to be low, because these kids are actually like dogs. They have a very, very higher capacity of listening. So what is a normal noise for us, for an autistic kid, can be like a nightmare, something horribly 3 times, 4 times, 8 times louder. So in Japan, I'm sure that there is this situation of where you have a special function when you can take all the kids who have this high sensitivity, and they can enjoy the movie without being terrorized by the high volume.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think helping, children like that is super, super important. And I now empathize. I recently had a daughter myself. So it's like, it kind of changes your mentality of, okay, these are like, people that we really need to help in the world. Now, I'm kind of altruistic in the other people sense to begin with, but when you see it in children, it's particularly motivating in that way. Interesting. You mentioned the stem cell about your son and the, autism and so forth. So like the particular researcher that I've been helping, who's working at a university on this sort of stem cell to brain thing, like one of the things that he treats is kind of somewhat parallel to this. It's not autism, but it's Alzheimer's instead. So like one concept that he has is that the way that you can tell or that someone's going to have Alzheimer's is that they have 2-point mutations on their ApoE gene. So if you have a certain variation of your ApoE gene, you're almost surely going to have Alzheimer's. And his strategy is that you can use these stem cells, which are your cells, they're clones of you, and then they use CRISPR, use genetic modification to change the ApoE variant to ApoE2. So basically you just edit your genes a little bit and you grow those into neurons. And then suddenly you can re-inject these neurons, which is kind of your same personality, the same, composition as your own brain, into your own brain. But these new versions don't have the variant that turns into Alzheimer's. So, you can actually prevent that from happening, a cure something that otherwise didn't have a cure. I'm going to switch very quickly to one point I want to quickly make, and I'll turn it back to you guys. I know, because I know you guys are running off out of time, although I have a little bit, a few extra minutes if people need. So basically, again, like our main project that Longevity DAO is working on is the Tomorrow Bio NFTs. If you guys are interested in, especially if you've bought NFTs in the past, this thing is for you. I mean, if you're marginally interested in cryopreservation or longevity, it's okay. Like just even if you look at this from an NFT point of view, I think you'll find lots of things to love about it. The best way to kind of catch up with us from this platform probably is to follow us on @longevity_DAO. I'll give you a moment to kind of follow us, and then from our Twitter feed, you'll probably find your way to Discord, which is the main area that we run promotions and we discuss, and we'll announce the final drop. So, I kind of want to just make a quick like plug for our Twitter account and following us and so forth. But yeah, turning it back to kind of the conversation at hand. Yeah, like I think Tanya's doing some really great stuff with NFTs for a cause, and I can turn it back to her for any follow-ups.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here, and I want to. I found the story that I pitched to my local paper, and we were on the front page for the whole weekend. Like I think I DM you like in 2007. I tried to get we did the first suspended animation conference, and at that time, people weren't really the technology wasn't there. People weren't like really into it. No one showed up. But in July of 2019, now is a different story where I pitched the cryo ambulance. We do have it. There's one in California and one here. But you can imagine we had an cryo ambulance in every single hospital. How many lives we could save with that. So I just shared that. If you guys want to take a read of that, that was actually on the front page of I was like one of my favorite thing I've ever talked about. So but I found it they still have it online. Just check it out. But and you know, with the different projects that you're doing today, and it all comes back to it's all about longevity, right? But are you like working with other people? Like you're talking about this one with the Alzheimer, with the DNA methylation age, which where you test it and then you find if you have those two genes. Are you working with Bobby?
Oh no, this is not particularly him. So the second one is actually a personal private angel investment of mine, like a VC investment of mine, on the personal front. But I hope that I've talked to him about trying to get to doing NFTs, but I think he wants to wait until it's a bit more mainstream. Although I think like you, Tonya, have actually been more in this space than I have in terms of time. So I definitely welcome those introductions and so forth, because I think we can and should be helping all efforts. You need kind of a rising tide raises all boats. And I think I'm very grateful that you kind of started supporting the space some time ago, because it's those that kind of started the ball rolling that makes this Twitter space possible, that makes the great attendance today on this call and on the previous one possible. So that's really nice that you started and saw the vision from some time ago.
Thank you. Brent, did you have a question? And if anyone have a question in the space, please grab the mic. We're gonna go over a little bit because
it's more of a comment and a thought, Tonya. I think that I will be investing into my first NFT project, and I think I will choose this one.
Oh, great. That is music to my ears. Thank you so much, Brent. Yeah, I made an appeal to NFT people, but also an appeal to longevity people, right? Like some people in longevity haven't touched NFTs yet.
Because I have to thank Tonya for letting me learn about longevity and supporting her by going to Church of Perpetual Life.
Thank you, Brent. I appreciate you so much. Yeah. So what does the NFT look like? Are we gonna have like different people in duels, or what is it? I'm so nosy. I want to know.
Yeah. I think if you go to Longevity DAO, is there a way? I'm so new on Twitter Spaces. Is there a way to like send a message on Twitter Spaces, or I guess I can just tweet about it afterwards? Is that the usual way to share these?
Yeah, you can tweet about it, and then because when I write the story, it's gonna be embedded into it. Whatever I'm tweeting out now will be part of the story, the blog. So, and plus, I'm gonna cut this up too because so that we can have it. I'm gonna share it to a lot of the longevity people that I know, especially the researchers, to let them know about your project and what you are doing for the community. And it's really important that we do this because, again, we have great researchers, but the most important thing is funding. They don't have the funding for it. Right now, there's actually a clinical study for plasma for I just got an email about that. I'll send you the info later, and I'll share with everybody. There's a whole clinical study for there's a company that's doing it. It's already funded already. But I'll send you more info about it. It's about the showing blood plasma from a healthy donor for older donor supposed to rejuvenate. So I'll get more info. I just got the email, but we'll get more on that. But so does anyone else have any questions? I'm definitely going to have Longevity DAO back, and I'll be probably doing some more spaces with them and really sharing and showing, because again, like I said, full disclosure to everybody, I've been in this since 2004 because I got into it because I was told that I am disabled. I should not be able to walk, wearing shoes because I have 4 herniated discs, fractured sternum. And then I was prescribed all this amount of medication that they told me that go ahead and get yourself this disability and, get ready to just sit around, not do anything. So I did a lot of research. I ended up getting a job. I couldn't do makeup anymore. I launched a cosmetic company, couldn't hold a brush any longer. But I went to work for a compounding pharmacy, and from there I started discovering about hormones, and from there I started learning more about stuff. So today in 2022, 20 years later, I do not take any type of pharmaceutical medication. I still have, for herniated disc, fracture sternum, and all this stuff, and probably traumatic TBI too. But I'm doing great. I feel great. I feel better now.
Look where you are now, Tanya.
Oh, I feel great right now. If it wasn't for me discovering longevity, researchers, being friends with other different people, and just being inspired by them. So, we just lost longevity Dow real quick. I'm right. Let's close up the space.
And as you always say, somebody else's success is your success as well.
Exactly. That's why I want everyone to remember that your success is my success, and we all should see that also. Carlos, it was great seeing you. I think we lost him, so we're gonna go ahead and shut down the space.
Yes, I can do it. Well, I am totally shocked by all the information, and I think his answers were, I mean, he's a real, he owns the subject and he knows what he's doing. And I love the concept of the NFT too. So I think this was a great session again, a great hosting. Glad to see you, Brent. And I am so happy to remember that because just 1 month ago, 50, he was 7 years old, and I am 61. And this is incredible how the medicine and everything has advanced. So it's a great adventure to be living in this time and living these changes. Thank you, Longevity. You can talk again. You have the microphone. If you have some closing words, please.
Yeah, please. We're doing closing words now.
Yeah, sure thing. I like we're talking about for Twitter Spaces. I got booted off one, and I had to go on another phone. But yeah, no. Thank you so much, Tanya, for hosting. Huge supporter. You guys should obviously you're already supporting Tanya by being here, but I would encourage your support of her other projects, NFT for a Cause, and paying more attention to kind of the general tweets amazing tweets that she's putting out, and also kind of following Longevity DAO as well. I'm looking forward to future conversations with Tonya, Carlos, and Brent, and the connections that we'll make as well. I'm super excited.
Same here. I appreciate everyone. And if you have any project that you're wanting to be part of, and NFTs for a Cause is actually mine and Carlos. We actually started this together. We started this for another project. We did one project, and then we ended up featuring. Now we're just on our episode 20. We're going on our episode 21 next week, and our website is done. It's all ready to go. So I'm going to be showing that, and so this way, all the projects that we have interviewed, the 20 projects that will be on this website is on NFTs for a Cause website. So we're excited about that. So if you have any project that you want us to feature, and if you want to, pretty much we give a social media blitz, really, because again, this is being live stream, and then I'm gonna start writing up the articles, and we cut everything up in little snippets. So we try to get like 10 to 12 little snippets out of a 60-minute space, and we promote it on all social networks. So at the end of the project, at the end of the show, we would have like around 60 unique links for the people that we feature per show. So I think it's a win. And again, this is the weirdest thing, Carlos, I've been getting all these people charge for this kind of stuff. I can't imagine. We do this out of the kind, we love this. We loved our Sunday evening together. And
exactly.
I reported someone as spam because they told me that they wanted me to promote the project and this and that. I'm like, everything you're saying, I do that, but I don't charge for it. And again, this is, we do it because we care, and when you care, you share, right? And we appreciate you guys for being here. And again, everybody have a great day. And Carlos, I'll talk to you later. And Brent,
Thanks for having me as co-host, Tanya.
Thank you, Brent. Bye, everybody.
Great.
Awesome day.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Glad to see you.
Wonderful weekend.